Joining us now is my friend Christopher Hamilton. He's a professional stand-up comedian based right here in New York City. Chris, how you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm good.
It's great to be talking with you. I wanted to just get you on for a couple of minutes because you and I were on a panel last week and we were hanging out and we were talking about this conversation that keeps coming up again and again and again about doing stand-up in colleges and like the changing nature of stand-up comedy and PC and not PC and all this stuff. And I realized I talked with a writer about this about a month ago and got his perspective, but I wanted the perspective of an actual real life and very funny comedian. So I'm just wondering,
cool.
like,
I appreciate
that. Absolutely. So what my kind of like base question for you is, do you feel like when you go out and like, are you noticing audiences changing? Basically, that's my first and most basic question.
Yeah. They well, when I started comedy, so like what I'm seeing now is that their asses are tighter. Can I curse? Is that a possibility?
You can, like you can like white people curse.
Okay.
Yeah.
I get, no problem. I can do that.
I think you know what I'm saying. Yeah.
They're tightening up, and it's weird because I can say one word, and that can tighten up the whole crowd. I can just switch that word around to say man or woman, and depending on which one I say, depending on the story or the joke, I'm like, oh, I can take that. Like if I talk about a guy getting sexually assaulted by another man, we're willing to laugh about that. But if I say that about a woman, we're like, oh, that's too close to home. But yeah,
Right.
They're both very close to home because they're both men and women. So, but we accept other things rather than certain things. But yeah, it's definitely weird.
And do you think is that I guess what we were trying to sort of define is that there's obviously like this part of that's really positive because you're having a more active conversation to take on things like sexism, homophobia, racism, all of that. But the danger that you were telling me about, which I thought was interesting, which I guess other people have mentioned, but I like the way you put it, that what you're starting to do is you're getting robbed of the ability to really point out how horrifying and messed up things can be because you can't go to those places because people get locked and frozen around certain words. Is that right? And could you tell me more about that?
Yeah, no, you're completely right. There's buzzwords. I think, like marketing, we have buzzwords that we say free and amazing. Go, oh, that's free and amazing.
Right.
I can do a joke where I happen to say a word that might not even be about the joke. It just might be a word that I use. And already the crowd will go, oh, you said a word we shouldn't like. And that's what will happen. I can't talk about Caitlyn Jenner, And if I do, I have to appreciate her and say all these wonderful things, even though I might not even be discrediting her. I say her name, and everybody's going to be like, oh, I can't believe she just mentioned that. Even though we're both, as a comic, our jobs is to be able to talk about whatever under the sun. You know what I mean? So that way it can open up to the world and other people to say the same exact things, or at least open up a conversation. If I can't say anything, then it's going to be harder for other people to say things. Because I'm trying to say it as a funny person. I'm not just trying to say it to make somebody angry. There's no evil agenda. It's just me trying to make you laugh. Now, if you go, oh, I don't even want to laugh at that, then you're saying that there is a side that is better. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it if you stop people from saying certain things. If I can't joke about Jews, then you're saying something.
Hold on.
There's a problem there.
Watch yourself.
Yeah, right? Yeah, right.
Yeah.
My cousin uncle's a Jew. I can't.
Is there a role but on the other hand, it seems like there's this other extreme where and the reason we're talking about this is because it's not necessarily in the headlines always, but it's sort of like becomes these conversations like something weird like Gamergate, which most people are not paying attention to, but if you check almost like any online forum that people are spending hours a day on, or any number of podcasts. Like I listen to Joe Rogan's podcast and I like his podcast. He talks about this stuff constantly, to the point of almost like, it almost seems like he thinks that there's some sort of like cultural emergency about this stuff that I don't think most people actually see or experience. And I guess what's the balance between your first and primary role, which is to be funny, and then like the role of saying, I want to be, like an empathetic human being. Does that even have any role in comedy? Is that totally irrelevant? Or is that something you're trying to navigate and figure out how to bring together in your process of doing stand-up?
My job is to be the funniest I can be.
Yeah.
That's what I do.
Yeah.
So I'm going to try to get there the best way I can. I want people to agree with me when I'm doing it, you know what I mean, but I also want to enlighten them.
Right.
If there's a lot of people, black people get killed in America all the time. How many jokes do you see that on TV? There's no jokes.
Right.
But there should be, because we have to talk about it. If you don't talk about it, it doesn't happen, it's just going to keep on happening. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But that's political correctness. Political correctness, I don't want to offend cops or black people. But, all right, well, who are you going to kill? Which one's worse? Are you really going to say, oh, I don't want to make you feel ashamed for 5 seconds? Or are you going to just let black people keep on getting killed? That's what political correctness. Political correctness is just lazy liberals. Just lazy liberals who say, nope, I did my job. I complained.
I take a lot of runs, Chris. So, excuse me. No lazy liberal here. No, I'm just playing. Yeah. That's actually okay. So but it seems like, and we'll wrap this up in a minute, but I think it's really interesting because I feel like you're almost, because some people define political correctness as, I think, a pretty honorable thing, which is that you don't want to just trash people because of who they are, right? And then there's this kind of like lazy, like Howard Stern kind of knockoff, just like any hack comedian in the circuit who comes up and is just like, hey, gay people, whatever, right? And it's lazy and it's boring. And look, everybody on the free speech level, everybody can say and do whatever they want, right? That's not even in question. But that is just like hack, and it's mostly not funny. But you're talking about political correctness as this state of no one should ever feel uncomfortable. And that could include everything from, saying a joke that involves Caitlyn Jenner, but it also could involve making people feel like rightly uncomfortable about, as you say, about black people getting killed by police. That seems like those are like two different things that you're talking about, right?
Yeah. It's like, it's only an American problem. Like, people in Uganda aren't having this situation. Like,
people in Uganda are not debating PC humor? Wow.
Completely not. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, if I want to, I can make jokes about Bill Cosby. I can't make jokes about the victims that Bill Cosby claims, to have. But I can make jokes. So it's America. We have to agree on who the dumbass is and who the bad person is. I can make a joke about Kanye West if I wanted to. You know what I mean? Everybody's like, yeah, you're right. He's an asshole.
Yes.
But I can't make a joke about Taylor Swift or someone who we, quote unquote, assume is like supposed to be like a respected leader or something, for some apparent reason, which doesn't make sense. That's not how it should work. If political correctness is that we can make fun of everybody, that's what it should be, because everyone's equal, everyone has that. But if you're saying we can't talk about certain people, regardless of hacky joke or not hacky joke, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're saying that, oh, you can't talk about them because of whatever. All right, like, how often do you use like bad words, like offensive words?
Pretty often.
Very often, right?
Yeah.
You don't think about what you're saying.
You know.
Just know that's what you... yeah, I know. But when you say those curse words, you don't have no malicious meaning behind them unless you want to use it maliciously. But just say it. That's just like a comic who has like this hacky gay joke. Whether it's funny or not, they're trying to come up with something. Mm-hmm. And to say you shouldn't try to come up with anything is obviously against the First Amendment, and also not giving them that creative spirit. They need to learn. They need to fail to succeed.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. All right. Yeah. That is, and I'm sure that I'm looking forward to the IMs and the calls, because I'm sure some people will disagree with it, but I really, really needed to get that perspective on. Christopher Hamilton, I really appreciate your time, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Oh, yeah, no problem, brother. Thank you for having me. Have a good one.
All right, you too. Be well.